I think you can tell I have utter but dripping and contempt for atheists. Do you know why? It's because I've dealt with hundreds, if not thousands of them. Most of them, listen to me, listen carefully, listen carefully. Most atheists that I have had the displeasure of talking with, most of them are scum.
Wait, then why is this called the Atheist Helpline if you just hate them?
Why? Because we're here to help the scum cockroaches come to their senses and repent so they can receive eternal life. Now, there are some atheists that are intelligent, that are try to be thoughtful, that try to be civil, that don't, after they get into a debate and they start losing and get cornered, they don't resort to pathological lying. But most of the atheists that I have dealt with, okay, do that. That's why I call most atheists cockroaches.
How would you go against Matt Dillahunty?
Well, actually, I was going to call into his program, and after I called into his sister TV show to talk Heathens 4 times, and made them look at like absolute. They made him look like the clown car posse. He then banned me from calling his own show. He banned me. He banned me from calling the show. He said it on air, and he said that I was a transphobic douche nozzle.
So why don't we stop talking about the transphobic douche nozzle and then talk about something else?
Right.
Wow.
Very high IQ.
Bro,
sounds like you got to him.
Dawkins, you should go undercover.
He saw what kind of razor sharp questions I asked his underlings and what babbling fools they are, and he wasn't going to fare any better.
Generally assume people are interested in honest conversations, but I did hear that the Darth Dawkins dude, whatever, on his what's the voice chat thing they were using? Somebody can tell me. Discord had basically encouraged people to call in to kind of prank call the show, but he also, I don't know, somebody verified what I was told, that he was using words like tranny and faggot in describing,
that's right.
and describing how they should.
Wait, you want somebody to volunteer to call in?
Yeah, why do I have to do all the dirty work?
I'll do it.
Okay, all right.
You're going to do that voice. I mean, up the whole time.
First of all, you got to call yourself Laura, and you have to talk like a total fag, okay? And then what you have to say is, when you transition to a lack of belief, say right now you're leaving theism, when you transition to a lack of belief, what will you experience when you have the atheist experience? And then say, what can I expect? Okay?
Okay.
Whatever answer they give you, you don't understand. I don't understand. What exactly will I experience when I have the atheist experience?
And as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, I have no interest in speaking with this person, because it's a waste of my time to spend energy on people who think like that. So if he's just trolling, even if he was serious, even if he wanted to have a conversation, the fact that he thinks in those terms and was encouraging that sort of thing, I got better things to do.
Yeah, that video is on Tom Rabbit's channel.
And you see, what he wants to do is, they want to tightly screen the kinds of questions. Like, for example, like one of the last times I called in to talk Heathens, and I got to speak with Eric Permboy Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay. Permboy Murphy, in a call-in show, okay, where people call in with questions, he literally refused, because he knew who I was, he refused to allow me to get my question out.
Wow.
And the whole time I was on the air, he kept on trying to get me to make propositional statements so that he could then interrogate me, which I'm not opposed to being questioned. But this is a call-in program. He was terrified of having me ask questions, because the last time I called in and spoke with him, he had a meltdown, not because he was being abused. For example, I've had a meltdown a couple of times on Discord because I'm being abused by mods, okay? But he had a meltdown because I was merely asking him circumspect questions that he could not answer with his atheist cliches, and he went into a tirade, okay? So the next time I called in and I spoke with Perm Boy Murphy, all right, he was bound and determined not to let me get a question out. And if you don't believe me, you can go onto Google and you can see
I saw
that video. And I described it exactly the way it was.
I want to see it. Have you got a link for that?
Yeah.
Well, if somebody can post the link for
that'd be great. Cloudy.
For Cloudy, he'd appreciate it.
What was
But
the
you really well, hold on a second. Hold on. Before you view that video, if you guys could post the links, to the other 2 appearances that I called in on Talk Heathens, if you watch that first, that will give you the context of why Perm Boy Murphy was so afraid to let me ask him a question.
Here, there's I think there's 5 videos.
Oh, I would.
Does the show still exist?
All I have to tell you. Hold on a second, Cloudy. Listen, I do have to warn you.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to put on an adult diaper before you watch it because you'll wet your pants laughing.
All right. Excellent. You wiping the floor with Eric Permboy. That's my new name for him, by the way.
Well, that's what I call him. Well, don't you love his curly perm?
Yeah, him and his boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So
Is
the
he,
first one.
By the way, that's very accurate when you say his boyfriend, because you see he admitted that he admitted on air that he used some homosexual sex hookup software.
He is. Yeah, they are homosexuals on that show.
Of course. Oh, mate, they look like battleships on my gaydar, those 2. They're just huge.
Darth, does that show still exist?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bro, we should have Jonathan call in and destroy them like you do.
We had one of Darth's friends call into Atheist Experience. I forgot what.
That was Brojo. Brojo called in with a legitimate issue, and Matt Dillahunty was so outraged at his position, he finally ended up going, "Get this piece of SHIT," and he didn't spell it out, off the air, and they kicked him off the air.
You compare the consequences of actions with respect to a goal, in this case, the goal being well-being.
Oh, for example, homosexuality, engaging in the practice of spreading AIDS, which you said was
Hang up
totally
on this piece of shit, please.
I have no objection to that.
Thank
you. Now, Brojo was not being rude. He wasn't being obnoxious. He was just simply expressing his Christian point of view on sexual morality.
What I'm simply coming on to do is to show that I don't believe the homosexuality it has a rational justification. I think if we were to justify homosexuality,
I addressed that. I addressed that.
Pedophilia,
I addressed
like that.
What the fuck did you just say?
That claims that it.
What the
He's
fuck?
on hold.
Okay, now you're on hold, so even if you're still talking, other people will hear this. First of all, you're saying that homosexuality doesn't have a rational justification. And I addressed this point at the outset, that we don't need a rational justification to permit people to engage in activities. We need rational justifications to limit freedoms, not to have freedoms. Otherwise, we would have a list of here are the 5 things that everyone is allowed to do, and that's it.
Well,
instead, we have maximal freedom, and we begin limiting for good reasons as it impacts others.
Most romantic relationships, though, do not have a rational justification. Usually, it's just because you like somebody, you fell in love with them, and then you proceed.
Correct. Yeah. On that ground, that argument is also crap because, first of all, as Tracy pointed out, they don't necessarily have a rational justification. But the point I made earlier was that you need a rational justification to limit them or to say that something's wrong. But I would like for you to tell me how the fuck you started with, I didn't ever say I didn't like homosexuals and had a bad string of arguments and then uttered the word pedophilia. Go.
Okay, you're off hold.
Well, I believe that if one rationally justifies the act of homosexuality with some of the arguments like they're born this way or they didn't have a choice in the matter.
It wouldn't matter if they did.
Arguments can be applied to pedophilia.
You don't have to justify
No. You are completely fucking wrong.
And by the way, Matt Dillahunty, want to hear how Looney Tunes he is? Matt Dillahunty said there's nothing wrong with having any thoughts of any kind as long as you don't act on them. So in other words, if you have fantasies about according to Matt Dillahunty, okay, we can discern by implication, since Matt Dillahunty said there's nothing wrong with any thoughts as long as you don't act on them, that he thinks it's okay for somebody to fantasize kidnapping little toddlers and torturing him in his head just for the fun of it. Okay? So he said there's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't act on it. This is how crazy Matt Dillahunty is.
Yeah, I've called the show before. It just wouldn't let me get a word in. But anyway, it's just nice to know.
That's what they do. They call in when they go, oh, thank you for your question. Oh, that. But you see, if you call in and you're an intellectual challenge to them, they will tightly control what you can say.
Yes. That's what happened to me. I felt like giving up. Just so frustrating.
What do that like? What is even the purpose of besides debating Christians?
Look, listen. This is moronic. You see, Talk Heathens, Atheist Experience. They all claim that atheism is a lack of belief. So they're doing a TV show about their lack of belief. How stupid is that? Can you imagine doing a TV show about your? Well, wait a second. Can you imagine doing a TV show, a call-in show about your lack of belief in aliens?
Exactly. That sounds like a very interesting.
Are you asserting there are no? Oh no, I'm not asserting there's no aliens. I just lack belief in aliens.
But here's their excuse. Their excuse is, well, people who lack belief in aliens aren't trying to impose their beliefs on other people.
And guess what? And atheists are trying to impose their beliefs on people as well, because atheists have ethics too. They derive their ethics from their atheist worldview, and they're trying to impose their ethics in the form of legislation as well. So everybody is trying to impose ethics when it comes to legislation.
True. Yep.